Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the United Personality of the Best Hair. And mockbusters aren't exactly a new concept. And they used to involve a little bit more creativity, with the basic gist of just throwing together something for a low budget that's aping on the popularity of a much bigger, much more expensive movie is kind of just how half of the film industry works. Which brings us today's review, Galaxy of Terror, a Corman production from way back in 1981. What do you do when Alien just came out and gritty sci-fi horror is the hot new thing? Grab a handful of miscellaneous actors, build a spaceship out of McDonald's takeout containers, and the horror just writes itself. And in an odd twist of fate, grab this Bill Paxton guy to help throw the sets together, and for direction, let's get some help from this newcomer nobody that nobody's ever heard of, some guy by the name of James Cameron. In any case, Galaxy of Terror is the tale of a small group of spacefaring general contractors who find themselves thrust into a galaxy of terror. Or more specifically, some far-off planetoid where a distress signal was found, and as they traverse the blue and windy landscape in search of survivors, they are gruesomely picked off one by one. How many have to die before they solve the mystery behind this planet's seemingly endless supply of horrors? And exactly how many scenes had to be edited down significantly to avoid an X rating, settling for a much milder R? Let's take a look at Galaxy of Terror and find out. We open up to deep, spooky music and a foggy blue desolate wasteland littered with wreckage before, bam, Cameron's trademark action horror kicks off. A man hurriedly seals himself away, hiding from some kind of terror from the galaxy. Which somehow still managed to get in there and kill him anyway. Does this really count as a body count starting though? Because he was tripping over the bodies the whole way through. No time to dwell on that, it's exposition dump time! This here's planet Xerxes, and this is Mitri, played by Mary Ellen O'Neill, who evidently plays a game with this big redhead over here, the master of planet Xerxes. They get a call on the wall. Seems the spaceship Remus went to planet Organthus, and they haven't heard from him since.
You would do that? Such risk.
It has been too long. I'm tired of waiting.
So this is one of those horror openings where they mix up the idea of being scared with just being confused. I suppose if you have anxiety. The Planet Master says, hey, send a rescue ship. You, Commander Ilva, played by Bernard Behrens, lead it, and I'll hand-select a crew, and it can be a surprise! So no time like the present to start introducing that crew, starting with Captain Trantor, played by Grace Zabriskie. She's of the opinion that these damn Starship takeoff scenes take too friggin' long.
Lift off in 30 seconds, and mark!
But Captain, no one's prepared!
They've got 30 seconds to get prepared.
The idea being that since it is a rescue mission, time is of the essence. I don't think it's going to be the best look if she arrives and half of her crew is splattered against the back wall. Thus, it's the actor and actress rattle-off lightning round. Demia, played by Tafay O'Connell. Robert Englund as Ranger. Edward Albert as Cabrin. Balin, played by Samuel King. Happy Days Joni, Aaron Morin as Aluma. Jack Blessing as Kaz. My favorite Martian Ray Walton as Core. And Sid fucking Haid as Q-Hod. They barely get to their seats in time for everyone to survive the liftoff. That's good. It means there's at least a little time for Ilvar to attempt some character-building small talk. He's old, but Trant has been at this a long time too.
Since the Hesperus, if I'm not mistaken.
Hesperus. Yes. Everyone's forgotten now.
Man, she is jumping headfirst into everything. I thought you'd at least wait until you got to the planet before the terrors you face start slowly driving you mad. Okay, that's enough backstory. Let's override the hyperjump coordinates and just fucking go! We're not even 10 minutes in and they've already reached planet Organthus. But what's this? Flying like an asshole might not have been the best idea, as they are already in the planet's gravitational pull, autopilot failing! Not to worry, as Trantor is a badass and a half. But oh darn it, looks like they just can't do nothing. Guess I'll die.
What about the landing jets?
Crazy at the speed. Hey, wait a minute. We're going down, only not so fast.
Well, thank fuck. They all went to the planet and died becomes a far less interesting story when it's because they crashed into the fucking thing. Instead, they crash land, skidding along, doing all kinds of damage to the ship, but more important than any of that, surviving. Now to check their bearings.
Doesn't look friendly out there, but you should be able to breathe.
Cool! Saves money on environmental suits. But they still have some techie backpacks, so we don't think they're completely careless. Also, Aluma is a psychic, but she can't sense shit, so It's not really helping matters much. While other characters, such as Q-Hod here, establish their traits as being the extremely strong, extremely silent type. Fun fact, allegedly that was Sid's idea, mainly because the lines they wrote for his character were so shit, he thought that could only be an improvement. Pushing through the dollar store debris, they discover the destroyed Remus. Inside, there is a corpse of jump scare! Oh, I'll just fry the remains and move on. First things first, everyone split up. We gotta up the body count somehow. And as Kaz discovers, the real terror of this galaxy is abhorrent cable management. Not the best start of this rescue mission, as they only find a few of the people they went looking for, and yep, every one of them is dead as shit, requiring disposal rather than rescue. But back with Kaz. It's just another bug hunt. So he must run, fleeing the stop-motion monstrosity, and running right into Balon. Before he can shriek out what it is, everyone else shows up, and they even brought a spare cadaver for the road.
Let's get back to the ship. I want that analyzed.
Weird alien planet, endless desolation. Everybody's fucking dead, ship's destroyed. Bring one of them on board, in for a penny, in for a pound. So they immediately head back, leaving Kaz as the only man still in frame, which means he is attacked by the big damn bug bastard! It's not so much in space no one can hear you scream, they just don't give a fuck. More important than that asshole is the fact that Illuma did sense what killed him, but after he died it just dis-a-fucking-peared.
The other one you brought back. He sealed himself into a room and still something got him?
It's like horror movie monsters can just teleport at will or something. Balon says, well, this place is a death trap. We should just say fuck it and leave. But Commander Ilvar reminds him that there were 9 crew members and 5 confirmed deaths. Means they still have 4 people left to at least try to rescue. As the Master ordered, so chop chop. Besides, they already have a lead. Their scanners consistently glitch out at Sector 409. So that's it then. They need to head out and investigate at once. Which reminds me, in the original Alien, the eggs weren't supposed to be housed inside the derelict spaceship as it was written. They were supposed to be a completely separate silo structure on the planet's surface that they found, and that's where the eggs were. But they decided to just have them in the derelict spaceship because it would have been too expensive to film all that. Roger Corman production, just to remind you. Illumicasts detect life, and nothing. Not even the normal ambient liveliness of a world. Just blank. Okay, that's cool. Let's climb it! Team A goes inside while Team B checks the perimeter. Still though, climbing a damn pyramid? Commander Ilvar says he's getting too old for this shit.
You're not old, Commander.
No, when I'm looking at you, I'm not.
Have no fear, for he can push forward with the power of an erection! Which means it shouldn't be too surprising that he insists on going inside the first hole they come across, popping out his handy-dandy climbing kit and sliding downward until it suddenly breaks! The 2 up top narrowly save his life, but he's like, thanks, buds, but you know, I still kind of want to head down and check this out. This being... horrible blood-sucking wall tentacles! The commander's gonna find out what it feels like to be a Capri Sun. He does try to fight them off, but they just keep coming, and by the time Cabron gets down there, he's already gone. And no, the ship has no idea about any of this going on. Communications are down. So we just watch Trantor and Ranger enjoy a lovely meal prepared by the ship's cook, Core.
This, cook's almost as good as a machine.
Ooh, is this a hint? Is Core some nefarious ne'er-do-well sent to infiltrate the ship Among Us style, sent by the Master to spy on them? An evil android like Ash working for the company all along? Are you kidding? This is a Roger Corman film. There's no way they're going to spring for an android. No bother, they can still make small talk about some other time Captain Trantor did some amazing piloting, the likes of which no one has ever seen.
Take her down to 3015 and scoot her through.
This is Hesperus?
No, it's not Hesperus. Hesperus was... They're out there.
You can easily recognize the Hesperus anecdotes from the crippling PTSD. Well, back with the crew, on the way to the pyramid, they find another crew member and fry the corpse, as you do.
Elon, we're trying to figure this out. You can't just fry up evidence.
That's no bother. You're psychic, remember? Just make something up. They'll probably believe you. But the pyramid door is sliding open. Thinking fast, Q-Hot throws his crystal stars to hold the door, giving them enough time to regroup and prepare. Except for the fact that Q-Hot's stars aren't supposed to shatter like that. I've never seen any dives into the deeper lore of Galaxy of Terror, but let's just assume that they're made out of some mystical space super diamond and they're not supposed to shatter like sugar glass. Q-Hot is broken up about this just as much as the crystals themselves. Not that Balon gives a fuck, he needs someone to guard the entrance, so here Q-Hot, use a gun for once in your life.
I live and I die by the crystals.
And there you have it, the one and only line that Sid actually liked for his character. And being the only piece of spoken dialogue for him, it actually makes it feel even more impactful. He takes the gun, but he's obviously not happy about it. Either way, he guards the entrance as everyone else goes deeper inside. Not the easiest job for Illuma, as hey, she's claustrophobic. Worse than that, though, is that she's sensing something not far. Word for Q-Hot, Damiya decides to head back and check on him. Probably a good idea anyway, as he's really not enthusiastic about the gun. But what's this? The door is closing, and not even Q-Hot's strength can keep it open. And it's at this point that the movie starts leaning a lot more into the supernatural, psychological, and of course body horror. Looky here, his crystals fix themselves, but only to attack him, resulting in a piece getting stuck onto the skin, going up his arm quite disturbingly. Oh fuck, my arm! That's better. But what's this? Q-Hod's arm goes evil dead and kills him with his own crystal! So by the time Damiya reaches him, he's dead as shit. Oh well, nothing an instant cremation can't take care of. One for the arm, too, covered in those oh-so-disgusting worms she hates so much, that begin to grow, as she desperately tries to call for help. But as we established, comms are down, so nothing to do but go back in, I guess. But then... we reach that scene, the worm scene, the scene that this movie is probably most famous for, and to answer your question, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to show you any of this, but I'm going to give you an idea of what it is. No! Okay, I gotta be honest with you, Scary Worm. That was really good. I was really scared at first, but you got some good worm dick. In fact, I think I'm gonna die now. So she's fucked, but back on the ship, Ranger is trying to find the captain. She seems to be firing the retro cannons for some unknown reason. Maybe he and Kor can do something about it. But what's this? Kor is a nefarious ne'er-do-well with ulterior motives? But, like I said, not a robot. Trantor is firing wildly at enemies she can see on the scans from her traumatic memories, but Kor tries to dissuade her, saying he is in fact the weapon system coordinator from the Romulus, and bringing up all kinds of things from her past that no one should be able to know. Still, that's not enough to get her to let go of the idea that they are under attack from an imminent threat, and grabbing a big fucking gun, she rushes to deal with it. And hey, Ranger's fine. Spare the fact that he doesn't realize that Kor was the guy who hit him, and he's more interested in finding the captain anyway.
Where's the captain? Airlock.
And on fire, in case you missed it. Man, this guy just ain't paying attention, as he doesn't seem to realize the captain is fried until he's face to face with her remains. On that note, the away team cremates Damiya's slimy, supple ass, and then it's back to the ship to figure out what to do next. The obvious choice is just say fuck it and leave.
I won't go back into that thing.
I don't run out on fights.
Balon, it was your idea to just leave last time you were on the ship. But with Commander Ilvar dead, Balon is now in charge, and therefore, he has to be the one insisting they stay. Now, well, the cast is getting kind of small at this point, so Ranger and Kor join up for this leg of the adventure. Thus, going right the fuck back to the pyramid, they delve deeper into smaller and scarier places. At least for our resident claustrophobic psychic.
Aren't you afraid?
Too scared to be.
That's my secret, Captain. I shit my pants 3 rooms ago. Besides, Balon's terrified enough for all of them, firing wildly at shadows and almost getting Ranger in the crossfire. As I press on, they head down the happy slide, which leads to a catwalk around a brightly lit second pyramid. Now, things are freaky enough on their own, but Balon keeps jumping at the weird monstery shadows everywhere. And as the group presses on, they keep slipping out of frame, leaving him by his lonesome.
What are you doing, Balon? It's the second time you nearly killed me. Shut up, Ranger!
Well, to be fair, I had no fucking idea Ranger was that close to him either. Cabron is able to slip in and at least prevent Balon from blowing Ranger away for now, and they move on. But looky here! A weird little door control that also lights up a mysterious triangle. So they close the thing all the way, locking Balon all alone in the other room so that he can be viciously attacked by an enormous alien creature, ripped open and thrown to his death. As Core was the man operating the controls, Ranger blames him for Balon's death. The fact that he's dis-a-fucking-beard also doesn't help Core's case. Either way, all this shit going on isn't the best for Ranger's mental health, and he starts ranting and raving about how he's tired of living in the shadow of almighty Cabron.
I'm gonna stop you, Cabron. I'm gonna stop you now.
Ranger! Ranger!
But come on, who could possibly believe that any character played by cute and cuddly Robert Englund could be a deranged murderer? So he regains his senses, somewhat, and the 3 of them decide to investigate the glowy triangle. Surprise! It's a friggin' teleporter separating the last of them anyway, so no one is around to bother Ranger but himself. See? At least Cameron and Illuma see each other, but all they can do is kinda agree on a direction and hope for the best. In the meantime, Ranger has to kick his own ass. He must kill himself if he hopes to live! Eventually, though, seeing that his doppelganger doesn't seem to bleed, he realizes that none of this could possibly be real.
Hiding myself.
That's kind of what it looks like when the people who've been bothering you turn out to be figments. They just kind of fade away like that. Unfortunately for Illuma, things don't go quite as well. Her path has led to an extra tight corridor, which results in her being attacked by extra tight cables! And no, this isn't a repeat of the more tentacly inclined scene earlier. But this is another one I'm going to have to cut away from if I don't want to get in too much trouble on the internets. This is another legendary scene that allegedly had to be cut down to secure the R rating. Man, this woman's head is gooey. Upon discovering his sweet piece of ass is now all over the walls, Cabron finally starts showing signs of distress. No worries, Ranger can come cheer him up with a key to their predicament. This whole time they've been fighting their own fears, so just calm the fuck down and we're fine.
If that's true, it's finished.
Finished, Cabron? There has hardly been a beginning.
But wait! Core is still here and secretly evil! Thus, Cabron must go alone to face Core. Yeah, Ranger's fine, but we're just gonna pretend he doesn't exist for the rest of the movie. But it's time for the big secret to be revealed. It turns out Core was in fact the redhead all along! He is the master! He is the one who sent them all on their suicide mission! He was the one behind it all! Hell, he's probably the highest paid cast member to boot. As it turns out, the pyramid was a little game for a long-dead civilization, a way for their people to face their fears. Considering they're not around anymore, I'm going to go ahead and assume it wasn't the best thought-out idea. On that note, looky here! You got some fear now, don't you? Let's see about facing it. Whew, damn, I don't think Cabrera's ready for that one. Luckily for him, it never gets out the big tentacle, and he can continue the fight. After facing most of the fears of the dead crew, he then faces the dead crew themselves, who kick his ass! But that all fades away so he can face Zombie Illuma. She chokes him, but he's not into that, and reveals that her boobs are in fact not real. Well, that's it then. He has defeated all the fears, and has killed Core. Surprise! That's exactly what he wanted you to do! Now you are the redhead, master of this planet of fear and death! The end. I'll just assume Ranger is still sitting at the bottom of the steps like, man, what's taking Cabron so long? Anyway, that was Galaxy of Terror. Classic. Whoever it was who was responsible for putting this on the list of the 50 worst movies ever made, I gotta say they desperately need to expand their horizons. Again, I'm left saying that not only are there more than enough movies I can think of that are far, far worse, this one wasn't terrible. I mean, it's a Corman flick with Corman flick trappings, but let's be honest, for a B-movie alien ripoff, it had style, tension, scares, and a story that was at least somewhat original and interesting. It also had a woman getting fucked to death by a giant worm. That's what you get with these kinds of movies. It's the fact that in between all that, you had a small group of people with real respect for the craft, who you could tell were honestly trying to make the best movie they can with what they had. Something about that energy is infectious, and I have a very difficult time understanding anyone looking at this and disregarding it as one of the worst examples of filmmaking. For what it's worth, the acting is hit and miss, the writing pops between schlocky and predictable, as well as weirdly poetic, and the effects are cheap as all hell, but not the worst out there. The cinematography does a lot to hold the whole thing together, and while not the cheapest Corman flick by any stretch of the imagination, still, it's impressive what they did for a few $100,000. At the end of the day, Galaxy of Terror is a must-watch for fans of cheesy classic B-movies, though it might end up being a little higher quality than you're used to getting out of the genre. Don't worry though, once the worms come out, you know you're knee-deep in the schlock. Coming in at 3 wall tentacles out of 5. Now who do I gotta call about getting a proper remastered 4K Blu-ray release? Anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been Shado. And remember, that time back at Hespis,
They're out there.
Gone.